move out, people get separated after having a child and things like that. And I think that what's happening in, you know, Jimmy and Chelsea and maybe AD and things like that of, I just need to get to the wedding and then it'll be fine. The cameras will be off and we'll be ourselves and blah, blah, blah. And that's just wrong. That's just wrong. The effort is every day, and thriving relationships and thriving couples work because it's every single day. And if you know, and it's okay to just let go for a couple of days because you've got other stuff going on, but that just means that after that you're going to have to catch up for it, and it's just all the time.
Yeah, I have a feeling that Chelsea is sort of expecting a fairy tale happily ever after with her Prince Charming. And as do most Americans and people who grew up on Hollywood and rom-coms and things like that. And love is never that easy, love is never that simple, and it's never perfect. And it just seems to me that she, in general, I think in these shows, they come and they look for that perfect love and someone who's going to blow their minds, and it's just not it. So when you do find the right love, you think it isn't because you're expecting something else entirely. And so when it isn't, you know, all butterflies and rainbows and exciting stuff, and when you have to put in a bit of effort, then you give up because you want to find perfect love, which doesn't exist or isn't attainable. And yeah, I don't know, I just feel like this whole show makes them all a bit crazy. Or maybe you have to be a bit crazy to go in the show.
Well, yeah, kind of both. I've never really looked into how you sign up to this type of show, if you're the one signing up for it, like friends sign you up for it, or things like that. Oh, but yes, Chelsea and
try
Jimmy.
signing up.
I don't think, you know, I don't think that they will say yes.
No. Well, if they do say yes, it's because they've convinced themselves that it needs to work and that it should be. I think they're kind of in Delulu land right now.
Yeah, and I think if anything that this show has taught us is, just because you are married to somebody who agrees with you on marriage, it does not mean you are with the right person. Like, both wanting to get married does not make the whole relationship, because I think the premise of the show is you guys, you know, just need to get to the altar, and then, you know, you both agree on marriage, and then you just make it work. And I think a lot of people think you can make it work with anyone, and that is just wrong, because there are some fundamental differences that you need to just adapt to each other and open your mind. And, you know, so yeah, Chelsea and Jimmy, that's that toxic stuff gone. Big up to Jessica, who knew what she was doing on her Instagram. She is just, that was quality. And we talked about this last time, but obviously is nowhere online. She's handling herself so gracefully.
She is so much better than she did in the pods.
Yeah. But didn't we see something about the fact that they kind of like boozed them up? And, you know, I think something about what Matt released about the way they got treated in the pods, and a guy from the previous season about the atmosphere in the whole you know, context of the pods, where between lack of sleep and alcohol and producers and things like that, maybe, you know, it kind of messes with your mind.
I'm sure that messes with your mind, but unless someone's shoving the alcohol down your throat, I mean, I don't know, I feel like I have a hard time feeling sympathy in those cases, because I feel like we like to blame everyone else for our own choices. No one's forcing you to go on this show. No one's forcing you to drink alcohol. No one's forcing you to go on these dates. It's like, we have a hard time taking accountability for our own actions and choices, and we want to, I mean, of course I'm being a bit harsh here, but like, it just
self-awareness.
Exactly, self-awareness, people. It drives me insane when I see this, and I see it more and more these days, and so I get into this whole sorry, yeah.
But I agree with this. It's just I feel so I don't drink alcohol, or like very, very, very rarely, because of you know, I one day realized that I couldn't just have one or two glasses. I had to have a lot, and it just became this
Yeah.
whole thing. So I just realized that, you know, I couldn't really handle myself around alcohol. And so I came to this realization. And I think a lot of people think that they can handle their booze and that they're fine with just a couple of glasses or three or four or whatever. But actually they're not, and they just don't realize it. And probably this is what's happening in the pods, where they have a couple of glasses and they think it's fine, and they themselves kind of, okay, this is my limit. But if you just have alcohol, two, three glasses every night nonstop, it is going to kind of end up messing with you. And I think that's what we're seeing. But I agree. I mean, it's, you know, it's not, you know, the production's fault. Well, to an extent, it's, you know, you're the one making all these decisions. And I think Matt, for all that he is, you know, an idiot, is right on the, you know, nobody forces you to do anything. You make your own, you know, choices.
Yeah.
And
I mean, of course they're gonna do everything they can to, you know, entice them and whatever, and put temptations. But like, what did you think you were signing up for?
yeah.
I mean, they, if someone puts a bottle of wine right in front of you, knowing that, you know, it's gonna make you do silly things, but you're the one who's opening the wine, pouring yourself a glass and drinking glass after glass, then I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna feel sorry for you when you start whining and blaming other people. It's just not. I think, yes, of course, there might always be someone else to blame. I just don't believe in blaming the world and its sister. I think that every person should take accountability for their own actions. And I don't know, maybe I'm just overly frustrated that we live in a world where people like to sue the floor for being crooked. Bless you.
Thank you. I cut my microphone.
Yeah, I saw. Good on you.
um
Anyway, I don't know. It's just
I
giving
agree
me.
with that, and I will kind of give a short story of, I an ex-boyfriend. We were supposed to go and meet my best friend for a weekend, and he was supposed to come over in the morning, like Saturday morning, and then we would just drive to my best friend's for the weekend. And I didn't hear from him at all, and I was just like, oh, what's going on? And it wasn't his type to be this way. And then at some point he messages me a couple of hours after we were supposed to leave or meet up or whatever, and he says, I'm sorry, I just woke up. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, we drank too much last night, and I'm not, and you know, and I'm an hour and a half away. He's like, you know what, I'm gonna go and we'll see each other tomorrow. So I went to my best friend's, came back, and when we saw each other, he was like, I'm sorry, my friends didn't wake me up, and then they were playing whatever game it was, and like I couldn't interrupt them, and we couldn't leave, and it was their fault. And I'm just like, no, you are the one that was supposed to wake up, and you were the one driving and come back. He's like, yeah, but I told them to wake me up, and it's their fault, it's not mine. I'm like, are you kidding me? Anyway, so yeah, accountability, and just, it's, you know,
Yeah.
it's shit. So anyway, so moving on to I mean, we've got Clay and AD and Jeremy and Laura, whichever one. I feel like Clay and AD is a short conversation,
Yeah.
because you know, I think we spoke about this last time, of Clay has a lot of being molded because
Mr. Clay.
I think he's aware of his downfalls and his flaws, but I'm not sure.
Self-awareness.
Self-awareness. We're gonna
Yes.
self-awareness. You do one.
Yes, we need those jingles. Sorry.
You do one. Self-awareness.
Self-awareness.
And I'm gonna try and make a jingle of it. Of he knows where he can go wrong because of his role models and things like that. I just don't know that by the time that they get to the altar, he would have been able to just do the work on not being that way. You know, I think, you know, self-awareness isn't everything. Like, you know what you have to do, but then you have to do it, you know. And but he's halfway there. He's more than halfway there, but he's just still got a bit of journey. And So I think I saw somewhere on social media where that she was saying she felt like AD was laying the groundwork for him to cheat, of just like, so that he ends up cheating and then turns around and says, I told you this was going to happen. Like, and I kind of agree with that sentiment of he he is going to get to being that really mature, reliable guy. I just don't think he's there yet because he's still working
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah. I wrote down a quote that AD's mother actually said, something that she said that I really liked, but it was something along the lines of all you got to do is let him know that you're there, and he's got to do the work. And that's something that I actually like, because most of the time what people need to know, and I see this a lot in my relationship now with Zev, is like they need to know that you're there, that you're not going to be flaky, you're not going to be running away if they make a mistake. And I'm not talking about now cheating or whatever and the big stuff, but they need to know that they have your support, that you're there, and that not every tiny little thing you'll be running away. A lot of times, like with Zev, like we had we don't argue a lot at all, but like the few arguments that we had were because that he was afraid of my reaction, and he was afraid of pushing me away. He was afraid that I would break up with him, so he would hold it inside and wait until it blew up. And once he learned that, or we both learned, because you do this growing together, but once you learn you get to know each other, you learn how to react to one another, then you're more comfortable being yourself and growing. You have more space to work on yourself, because you're not afraid that the other side is going to just up and run. They're there, you have their support, and you're the one who needs to do the work on yourself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's I say this to JT of because this is yoga talk, but basically, like, here's the space for you to talk freely, and like use the space. It's there if you need it. I'm not going to shove it on you, but this is the space, and you can use this to just speak freely, no judgment, and like no backlash from what happens in this space. And I think that's just another way of putting it, of just, we've all got our flaws. And I think, and I was talking to a friend about this yesterday, that kind of my flaw is that I get on my high horse of morality, and I get a bit judgmental when I feel like people are subpar. And that's, one of my, many flaws. But I think that's the problem of just, everybody's got these flaws, and you need to feel safe in your relationship to just, own those flaws, because fundamentally I don't think you ever get over them. I think you just get to manage them and control them, but you don't really get over them. And if you're aware of your flaws, and your partner is aware of your flaws, and then there's a space to be able to just be yourself freely and help evolve, I think that's the key.
And just accepting that you're both human, and you both make mistakes, you both have growing to do, especially when coming together as a couple. It's part of just being human. And I feel like a lot of times we judge people too much for just being human, for just feeling, for just being themselves, or for having flaws and imperfections. And I think when we do that, then the issue is with us and not with them.
Completely. I could completely agree. Completely. It was just, something, I think you said this, but did you say this in an episode that we recorded? But anyway, of just, if you dislike something that you see about something else, it's a reflection of what you don't like about yourself. And that's just, it's just so true. And it is, maybe it's cliche, maybe it's not to think that way, but to be reminded of that constantly is good. Because, my sister-in-law bugs me a lot. And I think she knows this. My brother definitely knows this.
I think you've mentioned it before in the podcast as well. So
probably. But And then I, tried to talk about it, and with a friend, I was just like, "Oh, God," she just gets under my skin. And it got to a point where I understood what it was about me that I didn't